Amazing. So we finally covered the mobile part of everything. And you can see that we ended up with 5 different screens or like states of a single screen. Now, when it comes to tablet, we're not actually going to do all of that, but you can see that I have my tablet frame size ready and I'm slowly copying things over. And that's going to be most of your work when you're kind of adjusting responsively your designs to a different device size. So in here you can see me double checking things and aligning them with the new grid, and kind of placing things around. I'm gonna keep this grid at 12 just because I do think that with this kind of like half closed off elements that we have, especially with this visual section, the green one and the yellow one, I do prefer having the flexibility of stretching it across like maybe 10 columns like I did in here, to ensure that there's some visual interest still in this screen that we're designing. So as you're gonna see with this video, a lot of the work that you're gonna do now is not gonna be trying to think of like other elements to add onto this design. You can, but mostly you're going to be adjusting what you've created on your first size. Sometimes it's going to be mobile, sometimes it's going to be a desktop, depending on the context of use. But in here you can really see that I'm kind of resizing the elements now, and that's going to be most of my work, kind of stretching things around, placing them, changing some of the font sizes if needed, and so on and so on. So in here you can still see that this is like a playful header, but some of the sizes just weren't right. So in here, instead of 24 for the border radius of this frame that's keeping everything together on the top, I made it 64 because I do want to keep it like looking the same visually, even though the actual number is going to be different. Now, one of the things when it comes to typography, and a lot of the courses even get it wrong, and especially like some of the design systems people have been building and kind of selling around, is that they would use like heading 1 on desktop, and then they would use heading 2 on a tablet size and heading 3 on the mobile size. No, what you need to do, and like talk with your developers and you're going to figure out like the actual benefits of doing that, but you need to have heading 1 desktop, heading 1 tablet, heading 1 mobile, because you do want to ensure that if something is heading 1, it's always going to be heading 1. Those sizes can change based on the rules that you set up in design and in code based on the screen size, but you still want to keep it heading 1. Otherwise, it's going to introduce chaos. You're gonna sometimes forget to change things on tablet and mobile, and it's going to introduce chaos for your developers because they're just going to randomly be assigning sizes, and it's not going to be like, oh, this is a heading. It's going to be 1 on desktop, 2 on tablet, and 3 on mobile. So like, just be careful when you're learning from other online resources that there are some things that are not working the way that these teachers are explaining. And I'm not going to name drop, but yeah, just something to really keep in mind. In here, you're going to see me resetting this button because on tablet, I actually do want to make it work with auto layout settings, and in here you can see me, I've entered the uppercase A and went back and checked like, am I using uppercase in my buttons or not? I'm not, so I want to keep that consistency in here. The other thing you're gonna see is me actually spacing this element in here based on how wide this button is. So from this edge, it's going to be 32 pixels of space, and then this element is going to appear. So I'm not positioning this element based on the grid. I'm actually positioning it based on how far away it is from the button. Why? Well, we might be working on A/B tests, and we might have check availability, and then on another test or like variation that we're using for testing, we're going to have something else written in here, like apply now. And that means that if we had apply now, the trusted by 10,000 dog owners in California would be placed on the grid, and it would have a lot more space than it does right now when it's next to the check availability. So just keep that in mind. How you would envision this is just like one invisible block. If you remember like hard grids and soft grids from our lessons in the course, you would know that this is going to be in a box, and then this element is going to appear on the left side of the box. There's going to be some spacing, and then another element is going to appear. So if we ever change how wide this button is, then this is just going to kind of slowly move away to the left or right side, depending is the button wider or smaller. And another thing in here that you're going to see me do, and that's something that you're going to have to, again, stress with your developers, is that you want to have this visual alignment in here. So I'm not going to place this image based on the grid at all. I'm going to place the element of this image to kind of fit in well and kind of follow this line in here that we have in the grid. Why? Because you always are looking with your elements in Figma how to create more visual consistency, how to create more alignment, and to be able to do that correctly, you need to identify those points that our eyes are following. So most often it's going to be something on the left or right edge of the screen where you want to keep things spaced out evenly. So yeah, a lot of the things that, as I've said, I'm working here on the mobile side of things are just adjustments. And if you worked as I worked on the mobile side, thinking of all of those things ahead of time, you're not going to have too hard of a time to adjust these elements to the new screen size. In here, the only thing that we need to do is kind of stretch it so that it fills in the entire container of the grid, and we need to change the title size so that it's referencing the tablet size for this. It's a lot bigger on the phone just because we have a lot more space. Tablets are usually like 2 or 3 times the width of a phone, so there is a lot more space and you can have things and elements that are a lot bigger. And here you can see that, again, I'm kind of adjusting this auto layout to ensure that it's working as I envision it to work, and I'm trying to think of like a different way to maybe use these cards. So you're gonna see me actually spacing these elements like that. I'm centering them. They're again falling into the grid well, and I just need to showcase how different heights of potential testimonials are going to work together. So with this design, I'm letting the developer know that basically they're aligned based on the top line in here that appears, instead of ensuring that they're kind of floating around. So you can see me adjusting these to actually kind of keep the height of all of these elements consistent. And that means that based on the highest card in here that has the most text of within a testimonial, all of the other ones are just going to have a little bit more white space in here in these cards. And again, even with decorative elements, you can still place them around, figure out do you need them in grid or not. And you can see that I've had some problems adjusting this element just because it continuously tried to go into the auto layout frame. If you follow the course in order, you already know this. If not, you just have to hold space to ensure that this element doesn't kind of jump into the frame that you're working on. And you can see the reuse, how I'm reusing the playful brand elements in here as well to ensure that all of these things are looking good. Again, changing it to the tablet size, stretching it to the edge of the screen, and then trying to figure out what to do with the pricing. So the strategy that I went with is I stretched everything so that it fits in with the grid that I had in here. You can see that elements are now floating in space, in the right space. And I can't actually make it like 3 on the left side and 3 on the right side. Because the monthly unlimited is so much higher than everything else. So to make it visually look like it's more unified, I actually ended up leaving 4 on the left side and monthly unlimited on the right side, because I wanted monthly unlimited to, again, stand out more. And you can see me kind of double checking some spacings to figure out how things need to be spaced around. 96 seems to be the number that I'm using a lot, so I'll just repeat it in here as well. Switch this to the tablet size. So you can really see like everything taking a shape as it's getting redesigned in here. And all of that is based on the fact that we did so much prep work with the designs that we've been working on previously. So I'm just double checking like what are some spacing in here. I often use rectangles just to like double check if the gather sizes are the ones that I think they are. So in here you saw me draw a little rectangle and kind of place it to figure out what's needed. What kind of gather do I need to create for this auto layout where we have these three elements there. And I'm just trying to position this one so that it works with the title. And another thing that I'm going to do in here is something that I don't advise you doing on products like mobile apps and web apps a lot. But when you're working on websites, you do have a lot more creative freedom with some of these elements. And I feel like this section is really bland and boring. So I wanted to add even more of this kind of playful shape that we have repeating across elements. And you can see me kind of placing these playful shapes in the background right now. So I'm noticing that it takes 24 pixels from the left edge of the text to appear in here as well. And I'm just gonna recolor them now and rotate them so that they feel the same as the shapes do in here. And now once that's done, it seems a little bit too playful, so I want to tone it down a little bit. And this is the part that I wanted to stress. Like in here, I actually broke the style. It's not something that I'm going to do a lot, but knowing that this is probably the only section where I'm going to be using this gradient, like slow transition from color to full transparency, I broke the style and kind of created a gradient there to just make this section a little bit more visually appealing, hopefully. Again, this is probably the only section that I'm now, when I'm rewatching this and commenting on everything, unhappy about, because it still doesn't feel like it's fitting in well with everything else. But if I ended up working on all of these pages to 100% satisfaction, this course would take like 20 hours and not just a couple of them to go over everything. Again, this is not like a full-on UX UI course. It's more like knowing how to use Figma to be an efficient UX UI designer, and hopefully learning a lot of other advanced tips in the meantime. And you can see me kind of, again, going through everything, double checking. That's a really good tip for you. As you're working on, like, don't forget to do that. Kind of go back, recheck a couple of things, see if they're working or not. And if not, why not? And try to identify those things and how you can make them better. Now, when it comes to the footer, I had a couple of problems, like trying to figure out what I want to do in here. Do I want to have 2 columns with 2 links? But as soon as I place those into the grid, I noticed that they're not really feeling optically aligned with anything else, and it just felt a little bit off. So what you're going to notice me doing in the next minute or two is just trying to figure out what's the better way to lay out the footer, where I end up going with the right alignment of these 4 elements, but they're all going to be in one line. And that helps me position the copyright on the left side next to the logo, which feels a lot better than this, where honestly nothing is aligned visually with anything, and it's really bothering me. So I'm just kind of removing all of the auto layout for now. I'm trying to place all of these elements one after the other in a line. And then after I do that, this video will be over for the tablet side. So you can see, compared to how long it took me to create the mobile version, and like if we started with the desktop, the same thing would be true. Like you have most of the things in place. If you've done them correctly, as we learned through this Figma course, you would be able to really quickly create all of the other items as well. And again, this is not like the best website ever, but it's also not looking too shabby. So hopefully that teaches you how to approach decisions that you're going to be making as a designer and how to use Figma efficiently. Honestly, this adjustment took me less than 20 minutes. So I was able to take almost like an hour of work that I did on the mobile side and just kind of adjust it into, again, this is a little bit sped up just because there's not so much that I can talk about. But hopefully the speed is good enough for you to be able to follow, to learn from the tips that I'm sharing, and to be able to recreate it yourself. And yeah, you can see in here that basically I managed to kind of cover everything, and this footer is now looking a lot more unified. There's still more visual weight on the left side, but I think that it's fine because it's the best that could be done with the elements that we had in here. Again, maybe we can have something on the right side, maybe like a telephone number or something that we can then bring on the mobile side as well. But basically, if you use Figma efficiently, you're going to be able to create all of the responsive screens in a really, really short amount of time. So thank you for following, and let's go to the desktop side.